So welcome each and everyone to my channel. My name is Raine and this is Rainier Books. Today is July the 22nd when I filmed this video, which also will be releasing today, I guess. We are in a period of very warm weather. I wouldn't say hot weather, but it's very warm weather here in Stockholm. And we have today, I think, outside like 27, 28 degrees, and it's the same temperature in here. We don't have so much air condition, AC, as people have in Japan or in the United States, because I think we are not used to these kind of temperatures, and that's why we sort of haven't built our houses in a proper way. So very often in the summer, even in this kind of new house, which is only 5 years old, temperature outside, hot or very warm, means that the heat is, also inside the house, and it's really hard to get through these days. But today I want to present you a bookish video, so let's talk bookish things again. Booker, the Booker Prize is going to release its always very highly anticipated long list in the next week. I think next week on Tuesday, when I will be in Germany. And I thought I'd make a video, maybe two, waiting for the long list about the Booker Prize. And the video that I'm making today is, that I'm talking about today, the things that I'm going to talk about today are that I want to talk about 10 books from Booker Longlist of the last, I think, 17 years that I had on, or have on my shelves, that I have read. And 10 books that maybe give you a little hint about which kinds of books I do like most from Booker Longlists. I have actually checked from, I think, 2006 to 2024 how many books of the long list I have read, and I came up to only 25 books, which is not much. There, I have to say, as an excuse, in the beginning, like from 2006 to 2017, I was still a reader of mostly crime novels. And then I started coming back to literary fiction like in 2016 or 17. So that explains a bit, I guess. And I have actually read from the last long lists in the last 4 or 5 years, I have read 2, 3, or even 4 titles at the time. But today I want to present you 10 books that I actually own, that were on my shelves, that I have bought because of the Booker, or maybe not because of the Booker Prize. And I have made some notes here. This is the winner from 2008, I think. It was a debut novel by the Australian author Aravind Adiga, Australian-Indian author Aravind Adiga, who was born in Madras and raised in Australia. And with his first novel, which was called The White Tiger, he won the Booker Prize. And this is a great book. I really love it. There's also a Netflix film adaptation of this novel. It plays in India. It is about a very poor man who's at the center of this book, and his master, because he's from a very poor village in rural India. But he makes it to the city. He makes it to Delhi in the end, to the capital, where he is working as a driver for very rich people. And this book is about class, about this incredible ambition of this driver, and about a murder. And from the first pages already, we know who the killer is, and that's the narrator of this book. I think it starts quite spectacular. How does it start again? It starts with a letter, because this guy is writing a letter to the Chinese premier. Sir, neither you nor I speak English, but there are some things that can be said only in English. My ex-employer, the late Mr. Ashok's ex-wife, Pinky Madame, taught me one of these things, and at 11:52 p.m. today, which was about 10 minutes ago, when the lady on All India Radio announced Premier Jiabao is coming to Bangalore next week, I said that thing at once. Yeah, and that's how the novel starts, as a letter to the Chinese Prime Minister. And it's great stuff, great story, powerful, teaches you a lot about India and about class in India and about this relationship and how people behave. I liked it very much. The White Tiger by Aravind Adiga. The second book, I didn't even know that it was on the Booker list because I didn't follow the Booker Prize when I read that book. I think it was in 2000. This book was published in, and I don't know actually how I got to this book. It was published in 2010 by Penguin Books in South Africa. This is from a South African author. This is Damon Galgut and his novel In a Strange Room. This is about a man, I read this long ago, about a man traveling, a man from South Africa, a gay man from South Africa, traveling through some of the neighboring countries of South Africa. I think he's in Lesotho and probably Namibia. It's a very lonely travel. A young man makes 3 journeys that take him through Greece, India, and Africa. He travels lightly, simply, to those who travel with him and those whom he meets on the way, including a handsome, enigmatic stranger, a group of Carol's backpackers, and a woman on the edge. He's the follower, the lover, and the guardian. Yeah, it's a novel of longing and thwarted desire, rage, and compassion. Long ago that I read this, beautiful prose, a lonely kind of feeling on these trips, and also love this book. In a Strange Room by Damon Galgut. The next book I read about in The Guardian newspaper in England, and I think it was recommended to me by the wonderful Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, who won, before Christmas, very often The Guardian asks famous and less famous authors, what would you recommend to people to give as a gift to other people at Christmas? Which books would you recommend? And Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie in 2000 had this book from 2013 on a list and recommended this, and I bought it. This is FiveStar Billionaire by Tash Ah, and I'm very grateful, Chimamanda, that you recommended this book, because I have read 3 books by Tash Ah until now, and I really like the author very much. This book is a strange story about the city of Shanghai in China, which is like many Chinese big cities in China, developing in an enormous pace. And it also is a magnet for people from all over these parts of Asia to come to Shanghai and to try their luck there. And I think we meet different characters. Yes, that's what we do. For 5 newcomers, this glittering mega city on the stage where fantasy can become reality. We have Phoebe. I love that portrait of that young woman, Phoebe, without a job, but armed with wisdom, called from self-help books, is determined to catch a rich man. Gary is a pop star whose life is spinning violently out of control, and we have the 5-star billionaire himself, who pulls the strings of destiny, his lessons for success, subtly but irrevocably shifting the dynamics of these disparate lives. And this is maybe the best book that I read by Tash Ah. Highly recommendable. The next one goes straight to the United States, but not to the big cities, to the metropolitan cities of New York, Los Angeles, Miami, or San Francisco. No, we go to rural Minnesota. And this book was actually longlisted in 2017. And this is History of Wolves by Emily Fridlund. Well, Fridlund, because she's probably an American Swede or Swedish-American with ancestors from Sweden. In Minnesota, we found a lot of Swedish people. Emily Fridlund grew up in Minnesota. She's a PhD, she has a PhD in literature, and I think she's also teaching literature. And History of Wolves was her first novel. This is a story about a young girl somewhere at one of these great, wonderful, beautiful lakes in Minnesota, beautiful nature. 14-year-old Linda lives with her parents. Yes, and she lives in some kind of cult or commune, and I learned from the wonderful singer of the band Big Thief, which is one of my favorite bands. I love Adrienne Lenker, that also Adrienne grew up in Minnesota in some kind of cult-like situation. So, seems to be quite common there. Please, Minnesotans, don't kill me for that, but that's what I heard, but at least there's a certain frequency of it. So, a young family comes to the neighborhood of these lakes, of these beautiful nature, and well, for Linda, it will be a life-changing event that is going to come to her. She's the babysitter of that young baby, and that young baby is, at some point going to die. And this is about what happened, what led to this death of this young baby, and also, of course, for Linda, what sort of was so dominant as an event that her life was shaped by it. It's brilliant prose, and I absolutely loved The History of Wolves by Emily Fridlund, or Emily Fridlund, as we would say in Swedish. The next book, I think I have them chronologically here on my list, is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. And here we speak about the second winner after The White Tiger, second winner from my shelves. This book I love. This is one of my favorite books. And at a certain point, usually I don't rereads, but this book I think I could reread one or the other day whenever I have the time for rereads and not so many unread books on my TBR. I love this book so much. It's about several black British women, written in a prose by Bernardine Evaristo that is poetry, that is so beautiful that I love the audiobook as well. Well-deserved winner of the Booker Prize in 2019, and I really loved that Booker chose this book. Because sometimes I'm not so fascinated by the books they choose. And you know that I'm not going to read the 13 book long list that is coming next week. I will pick some of them and read them. And they have to be they have to be interesting to me. Yeah, or engaging to me. The next one was engaging, but I think I read this book actually before it ended up on the long list of the Booker. I think it even made the short list, I'm not sure. 2020 are we speaking about? It was published in Great Britain in 2020. And this is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, American author. The setup for this novel is very interesting. A social media personality in the United States. I think when Amira is apprehended at a supermarket for kidnapping the white child she's actually babysitting, it sets off an explosive chain of events. Her employer Alex, she's a white, feminist, progressive blogger with the best of intentions, resolves to make things right. But Amira herself is aimless, broke and wary of Alex's desire to help. When a surprising connection emerges between the two women, it sends them on a crash course that will upend everything they think they know about themselves, each other, and the messy dynamics of privilege. It was a very entertaining book, and maybe it was, for that reason, it was entertaining and thoughtful and thought-provoking, but maybe for that reason, a lot of people thought that this is not a Booker book. It was too entertaining, maybe, in a way. Number 7. I'm very happy that I finally got to read this book. It was from Canada, and 2021, Mary Lawson, and it was A Town Called Solace. And these are the kind of books that I love so much. This also reminds me of my favorite Canadian author, Elizabeth Hay. It's a story about a town called Solace, and about a house, actually. There's an old woman, and there is a young girl, 7-year-old Clara. Her sister is missing, and she uses to visit that old lady house, that house in the neighborhood where that old lady lives, and she takes care of the cat. And Elizabeth Orchard is the old lady, and then she's going away to hospital, and it's set in Northern Ontario in Canada in 1972, and she explores the relationships of 3 people brought together: a young girl, Clara, the old woman, Elizabeth, and a middle-aged man, not middle-aged, younger man, I would say, Liam Kane, and who moves into that house for several reasons. And it's just so beautiful, plot-wise, but also strong characters. All the 3 characters are very strong, and nature and everything. I loved it. Mary Lawson, A Town Called Solace. Let's get to the third winner among these 10 from my shelves, 10 Booker books from my shelves. Today for you, The Promise by Damon Galgut. Second book also by Damon Galgut. This came in 2021, I guess, and won the Booker Prize in 2021. It's from South Africa again, of course. This author is from South Africa. And here is the promise of a white family who's still very rich, to a black housekeeper, a promise that was made long time ago before apartheid ended. The woman in the house, the mother, the matriarch, promised her housekeeper, one day you will inherit this house from us and it will be yours. And then comes the time when that promise must be fulfilled, and it isn't fulfilled. And it's about made promises and not kept promises, and about the whole nation, actually, as a metaphor behind this, about a nation's history. Great book by Damon Galgut. Then I have the youngest ever author who was longlisted for the Booker Prize. This is Layla Motley from the United States, and her book Night Crawling. It was longlisted in 2022, yes. And For Oakland and Its Girls is the dedication. This is the story about a young woman, Kiara Johnson, who is living alone. She's 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. She lives alone with her younger brother in a deprived neighborhood, and for some reasons, yeah, she has problems in keeping the house. They are on the verge of being evicted, and she's going to prostitute herself, and it comes to a situation where where some policemen are actually forcing her into prostitution. And it sounds very, very dark, but it's also a book about resilience and power and energy and the fighting against those conditions that sometimes try to sort of bring us down, and that bring, unfortunately, down many, many people. Night Crawling is more than just a magnificent debut novel. It is a bid by this prodigiously gifted young writer to heal a broken world. That said Ruth Ozeki as a blurb, a wonderful blurb for this book. And the last one that I want to talk to you about from my shelves, a Booker book from my shelves, is from last year, and it's also from one author that I really admire for her intellect and for her books. This is Creation Lake by Rachel Kushner from the United States again, and The Observer wrote about this book, Think Kill Bill, written by John le Carré, smart, funny, and compulsively readable. About Sadie Smith, a young woman in her early 30s who, you see, that's young from my perspective. She is an agent. She was a former CIA agent, probably, an agent provocateur, as we would say in French, who is now digging into a French environmental group that is being accused of being close to terrorism, eco-terrorism. And she goes to France and becomes a part of this movement trying to find an older French man, Bruno Lacombe, who has rejected civilization a long time ago, who fantasizes a lot about Neanderthals, who writes emails to his followers, and yeah, it's a weird book. It's not as easy as, for example, A Town Called Solace by Mary Lawson, because we have this things about Neanderthals, for example, that you could sometimes question yourself, what is she doing here? So these were 10 books from my Booker shelves, or these were 10 Booker books from my shelves that I own, that I have read. And I don't make a tech video out of this. I can't produce an original tech every week. But I would strongly suggest, if you are a booktuber yourself, and if you have read, and even Steve Donahue, hi Steve, could maybe make a real video about this. Maybe you could also join the chorus of people and make a video about 10 books from your shelves, 10 Booker books that you have read and that sort of define you as a Booker reader and as a reader. Thanks for watching this video as always, and I hope to see you soon in another one. Bye bye.